And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God.
The third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name.
You guys, this video is just a refresher and a reminder of the realities of hell and sin. I think that sometimes when we've been in this walk for a long time, we start to become very lax in our faith, or we take certain things for granted, and sometimes these testimonies and these realities of hell and the circumstances of falling away from God, sometimes those things leave us and we forget. So this video is not to scare anyone or anything like that. It's just to refresh your walk with the Lord and to just return to your first love. There are some testimonies in here about hell. There's also one with a young man who was open to the spiritual world after the Lord gave him revelation about some demonic things he was doing. I hope y'all really enjoy this video. Some of them you probably have already seen already. I tried to get some newer ones that maybe y'all haven't seen, but some are older but just very fruitful. So I hope y'all enjoy, and y'all stay blessed in the name of
I
Lord
really
Jesus
don't know how to
Christ.
explain it. It happened to me about August 20th or so, maybe a little bit earlier, around that time sometime. And I'm praying to God to take me to hell. There's things that I want revealed to me. There's people I know who've passed away, who didn't live a life that was stellar, for lack of a better word, And so I just want to pray. Some of them, the last thing they said to me is, "Oh, I've been praying to God, and I have faith that pornography, and I have a problem with sex, and it's a battle that I fight." And I know some people give me a lot of crap about, "Oh, you've experienced heaven, and God has come to see you, and you sin because you like it." I don't like it. I hate it. So anyway, this particular night, I was in my bed. I fell asleep. I woke up. I couldn't go back to sleep, so I woke up, woke up there, opened my eyes, and I was standing up, and everything was very, very blurry. I mean, very blurry, and it was dark. I speak with my mouth, but I can't open my mouth at all. And it turns out I was inside of this thing. I don't know what it was. Like, you see movies where people fall into a pit and it's raining and there's mud on the walls. It was tar. It was a wall that covered half of my body, whole half, made out of black. Because I looked at it and it was tar, like dark tar. And I don't know if it was hot, but it was wet. Like it was just, I don't know, it was wet. And half of my body was in it and I couldn't move. I tried very hard to move and I couldn't move. and I knew already where I was. Like it wasn't like, oh, where am I? I knew where I was. This thing coming out of the ground. It looks like a volcano, but it's 4 or 5 feet. No, not even like 4 feet tall. I think that's how wide it was. But it was like a mini volcano, and there was someone in there, and I could tell they were stuck too. Like they were like reaching out, like trying to reach out to me, and he was pale, like pale. I'm sorry. Damn, like pale. Like I can't tell you. He was probably a white guy. I don't know, but pale, like somebody that's dead and they're pale, like gray, white pale, and I couldn't see his face. Like he had no features. You know what I mean? Like he had no features. And I started to hear people screaming, and I mean screaming. I don't mean like you hear outside when someone yells when they're angry. It was screaming. I've never heard anything like that in my life. Ever, ever, ever. I've never heard anything like that. And then it's like God let me know that I wasn't there, but that I was there. I don't know. It's like He let me know, you're not here, but you're here. This is what it's gonna be like, or this is what it's like if you're here. And I heard my soul, I don't know how else to explain it, like my spirit, whatever was me, screaming. And I've never screamed like that in my life, ever, ever, ever. I've never screamed like that in my life. It was like somebody's killing me, but I'm scared. I don't know. I've never screamed like that, so I can't explain it to you. But everybody was screaming the same, and it was worse. It was so loud. It was so loud. Everybody was screaming. Everybody was screaming. And I only saw the one guy in front of me, and he had no face. He looked like a ghoul. If you Google like a ghoul or something, like a pale ghoul, you couldn't see his face, but you could see his mouth open really big, like he's screaming. And he's reaching, but he can't get out. He's stuck. Whatever he's in, he's stuck. And I was stuck. And all of a sudden, I see this thing walking in front of me. I couldn't see his face. It was tall and it had arms that reached to his knees. It looked like a human. It looked like the same person that was stuck in the thing. He looked the same way, pale and skinny with long arms, like kind of like how you will see, like if you've seen, like, I don't know, a gorilla or ape walking, like kind of like slanked down. He was a little bit hunched down, but not too hunched. He could walk regular, but his arms were long, and I couldn't see his face. He had no face, like it was just blank, like nothing. And he was just walking in front of me, and I don't know if that was a person. I don't know what it was.
Hello, my name is Matthew, and I'm going to give my testimony of the Lord Jesus Christ. How He came into my life and took away my guilt, my shame. We went through different schools and stuff. I remember one time being really sad because I made friends in a different school. That happened a lot. My dad ended up having another family and taking care of them. He was, and he had a lot of torment over that. He that really killed him. He was a great man. He was awesome man. Made mistakes though. Around, people who did drugs and stuff, partying and stuff. I got into that when I was a teenager, probably 12, 13, started getting, living in bad neighborhoods and getting mixed in with that crowd and learning about like sex and stuff, you know, in detail when I was like 12, and, you know, smoking and cigarettes, weed, alcohol, all that stuff. You know, I was introduced at an early age, you know, me being very impressionable without a father to, you know, go to and be like, man, you know, people are telling me this and this or whatever. So that was 12, and I ended up learning about, you know, masturbating at that age. 2 years later, you know, from that point, you know, I ended up having a computer all to my own. So I started, you know, seeing, and it led to like more hardcore porn and more gross stuff. You know, it just led that way. You know, to me. You know, around that time, I had, as a young teenager, I molested 2 children, very young children, and you know, it was out of curiosity, you know, of just of what's going on, you know. I don't want to get in detail because this stuff's gross, you know. I don't. But that was, you know, as a young teenager, I had this very dark, like just experiment, like just doing stuff, like sexual stuff, stealing, and all that stuff, and you know, you know, I had all this guilt and shame to go with it. You know, I brought all this stuff upon myself. I was totally self-centered. I was an atheist. I did all this stuff, you know, without respect towards God. Which, by the way, all the things that I did, I've went back to the people that God's made me go. I've went back and reconciled with people, and even some people, you know, even if I'd get in trouble after Jesus saved me. This wasn't on my own. I got saved and then I did that stuff. But Jesus Christ was first. He was before. But what ended up happening is one night I was like by myself alone, and I realized where I'm at right now, it's all my fault. And then this revelation hit me. I deserve death. I didn't even know it was a revelation. I didn't know what it was. I just remember I deserve to die. Then I started falling really fast down a black tunnel or something. Blackness, pure, just dark blackness started falling down in it fast, really fast. Then I got sucked back out of it, back into my room. And I thought I was suicidal at that point. I didn't understand what was going on.
What's good, y'all? My name is William CATA, and I'm here to tell y'all my testimony. I pray to God, and I hope that it'll help a lot of y'all that may have went through what I went through, or even if you're dealing with faith issues and not really knowing if God is real, Jesus is real. So here we go. So basically, I'm gonna take y'all back. This took place around September 2011. And at the time, I was living in the projects in Queens at my Aunt Zelda and Uncle Kevin's house. And bottom line, you know, I had just went through a breakup with one of my ex-girlfriends. And it wasn't too pleasant. I would say I was heartbroken over it. With that made me want to go. You know, I started to feel like I'm not where I want to be and all of these things. And I started to look at, you know, my cousin. He just came home from doing jail time up north in New York. We'll get into that later. But he had books, you know, he had these books, The Art of Seduction and 48 Laws of Power. So you know, I started to be interested in that and wanted to read it and, you know, feel like if I obtain a certain knowledge, I might be able to, you know, obtain a certain power. Which is, I wouldn't say it's good at all. It's actually demonic. So with the art of seduction, it taught me how to really seduce women and just people, you know what I'm saying? And which was nothing like myself. Like, I was never a seducer, but we know Satan is a seducer and he seduces. So, but again, I'm still not thinking it's wrong. I still didn't even feel convicted yet. 48 Laws of Power taught me, you know, the rules that you kind of already learned growing up in the environment I come from, but it teaches you in a swindle way, you know what I'm saying? And I would say that that book is very demonic within itself also. And with reading these books, of course, I'm the kind of person that when I obtain something that I think is good, I gotta share it with everybody else. So I would start taking the books outside and showing all my friends. Mind you, I'm probably like, I wanna say like 16 years old. I wanna say like 16. So I go outside, you know, I was selling drugs at the time, nothing crazy. I was selling weed, you know what I'm saying? Me and my bros. I go outside and show them, but the backfire what that did was, as time went on, it made me feel like I didn't know who to trust because I didn't know who was using the book against me. Although I wasn't using it against my peers as of yet, because I right at this phase I had control over, you know, my mind. And from there I noticed that I would be able to, basically I summoned a spirit in me that wasn't my spirit, but it was an evil spirit, and the spirit came from those books. And you know, I never forget one night, really I say one day, you know, 48 Laws of Power teach you that you wanna dress different than everybody to stand out. You know, that's why you see a lot of these celebrities, they put on the most weirdest stuff, but this is a way that, you know, they seduce the eye and they stand out, and that's another way for you to idolize them and just, it's a costume, like a action figure or something, you know what I'm saying? So I started to dress differently than I would do in the norm. And like I said, this evil spirit that I was able to summon was now everywhere with me. And when I'm ready for him to be summoned, it's like, it's something I would do with my eyes and look down. And when I look back up, it's like I was me, but I was me 2.0 on the evil tip, you know what I'm saying? But again, in my heart, I didn't feel like, because my reasoning wasn't, the root of it wasn't satanic, so I didn't feel I was doing anything that was satanic, you know what I'm saying? I never forget one day I was outside in the projects and I happened to look down and I summoned it. And I never forget, I ain't gonna say no names, but one of my big homies, like old head, he kinda got a whiff of what just happened, but he couldn't recollect in his mind like what just happened. But when I did it, the whole group of everybody, you know, they just followed me down the lane inside the project. You know, we call them lanes. Like, you know, you could go through the lanes around the buildings. So from there, you know, when I look back, he was looking at me, but he had that eye like something is weird about him right now. So, you know, fast forward, I remember one night, this is when it got real scary, you know what I'm saying? I was getting a kick out of it as well because I never witnessed nothing like it. Anyway, back to the story. So I never forget, I went to a party one night in the projects, and this around those times. And when I got upstairs, there's this girl that I kind of had a crush on or whatever, but I never had the guts to talk to her. Even though if I talked to her, I probably could have got her, you know what I'm saying? So I never forget, I looked at her, and when I looked at her, I blinked one time and I looked the other way. And that's all I needed to do. And like, I say less than 15 seconds later, when I looked to my right, she was standing right there. Bottom line, I knew that wasn't me, but that was the spirit that I had summoned. I looked to my right, and she was standing right there. And from there, I just, like I said, I never forget, everybody that I blinked and did that to, it's like I caught their attention and now they follow me. So some people was able to pick up on it though, you know what I'm saying? Some people, when I tried it on, it's like it didn't work. And they'll be able to tell and look and be like, nah, something about him is off. Not being where I want to be, I was doing secular rap at the time, although I was rubbing shoulders with a lot of celebrities, but I felt like, why I don't have what I want, you know what I'm saying? So I started seeking things outside of whatever God put for me, you know what I'm saying? And that's where you walk into danger. So I never forget, I walk out the party to leave the party, and as soon as I leave the party, I go out the building, I look up at the window, project building window, I look at the window, everybody that I blinked at and turned my head, they all walked, I don't want to say ran out the party, but you could say borderline walk, ran. They ran out the party, and I saw all of them looking at me through the window telling me to wait up. Of course, my heart started beating. I got scared because I knew the reason why they was coming to follow me and tell me to wait. So it got to the point where I summoned something that I probably didn't fully know the extent of and had full control over. So as soon as I bent the corner, I turned the corner, I ran. And I was on the other side of the projects, but I ran through the lane and I ran to my building. This is the day where all hell break loose. This is the day where it started. So I never forget, I walk down the lane, I see my bro, I see all my bros, you know what I'm saying? Everybody outside just talking, chilling, laughing. As a matter of fact, I will say this name. No, I ain't even gonna say the name. So boom. I take headphones from one of my homies, and I'm listening to music, and it might have been my music at the time. I plugged it into my phone or whatever. So from there, as I'm listening to music, it's one of my bros out there. He like top dog Crip, like he the head of all the Crips. You know what I'm saying? He happened to be passing me by, and again, you know, Ephesians 6:12 say we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places, rulers of darkness, principalities. So whenever I mention seeing somebody and seeing evil spirits or whatever, this doesn't mean that I'm calling the person evil. This just means I got myself in something that I didn't know how to get myself out of. So I also want to say, I can't forget this. With reading those books, I told you in the beginning of this, my cousin just got out of jail. My cousin couldn't smoke regular weed because he was on papers. So he was smoking K2. Now, you know, some of y'all heard that just now, was like, uh-oh. So I didn't know at the time fully what it could do. I just knew all the old heads out there was smoking K2 because they ain't like really smoking weed, and a lot of them was on papers, they was on parole, you know what I'm saying? So my cousin, you know, me and him real close, so he would tell me, yo, come smoke with me, man, da-da-da-da-da. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'll smoke with you. All right, bet, cool, I'll smoke with you. So K2, all you really gotta hit is one time or two times, and you higher than if you smoke 3 blunts, you know what I'm saying? At the time when I first did it, it didn't take a toll on my mind yet. But I believe God knew what he was doing by allowing me to do that as I was reading those demonic books. Art of Seduction and 48 Laws of Power. All that did was intensify the spirit world that was already at hand and that was already trying to seduce me and deceive me, and it just opened the window for me to see everything. My bro, you know what I'm saying, older guy, you know what I'm saying, head of the Crips out there. But when I looked at him, he didn't see me, but I saw him walking past. When I looked at him, I saw an evil spirit inside of him that I felt like he didn't know was there, but it was there, and it was housing in his, like, it was housed in his body. And I felt some kind of hurt and sorrow for seeing that, because I felt like this thing is in him and he don't know it's in him. And it was just a sad feeling, like, to know somebody has an evil entity, whether that evil entity is gonna do whatever, but it's in them and they don't notice, and they might not know why they feel how they feel sometimes or whatever, but I seen it. So from there, I took the headphones off, turned back around, gave the headphones to who it belonged to, one of my bros, and I walked off with my right hand man, my bro. We were selling weed together and all of that. I said, yo, let me holler at you. So he was like, yeah, it was good, cuz. So as we walking, I looked at him and I was just like, yo, I don't know what's wrong with me, bro. Like, I'm seeing things that I don't think I'm supposed to be seeing. So, you know, he kind of looked at me and was like, yo, and by the time he looked at me, I had tears coming down. And I said, yo, bro, I'm telling you, I don't know what's wrong or what happened, but I'm seeing things that I'm not supposed to be seeing. So, the plane ride from hell. Me and my mom's on the way to the airport. By this time, we get there, it's like I see everywhere the devil is. And I say devil, but we give him too much power. But I see everywhere, if you want to say fallen angels or his squad, I see everywhere they are. And people, I see them. When I get there, everybody and their moms that passed me, their pupils was bouncing in their socket. Looking at me, but bouncing around. Person who's not inclined to that kind of spiritual stuff go ballistic. This is why you got people that they'll kill their whole family and be like, I don't know, I saw the devil, I didn't mean to do it. I go, you know, I'm getting angry, but something in me is like, you gotta calm down, because you do something crazy, they'll lock you up. That's it. You just the crazy kid that wilded out in the airport. Nobody's gonna believe you. How much people say it was a demon or the devil? You gotta cool out. You can't fight a spiritual war with your physical. So you know, you can't just speak it. You gotta really live that. You know what I mean? And it ain't about good works, but you gotta live that. So we saw, when I lied and I said that my father was Kevin, but it was my uncle, the demon tried to get closer. I said, I'm just playing, that's my uncle. The demon stopped and walked back. Cool. That was lesson 1. I see an open seat next to this man. I want to say he looks like he's Middle Eastern. See, we still recording. Still recording. So I see the man. He looked like he's like a Middle Eastern guy. Like could even be Brazil or something, but I knew he was Indian. The seat is open next. That's the only seat open. In my mind, I wanted to sit down in that seat. I looked. As soon as I looked, he's sitting down. He took his fist, and put it inside the chair next to him and looked at me like on some, like, you not sitting down. I don't know how he knew I wanted to sit down, but he knew. Mind you, again, it's not the person that's at play. It is the spirit. Turn my head and I just think God, I think Christ, and I tell God I would like to sit down. And I patiently waited on God. I didn't get mad in my heart or nothing. I patiently waited. And as soon as I looked again, I saw it through my peripheral, but he moved his hand, and when I looked, he smiled. Like, I don't know how to smile like he did. That would be fake. But he smiled, and when he smiled, he put his hand like this, like to sit down. That was lesson number 2. Basically, God has the master keys to everything. I don't care who say what, who tell you this, who tell you that. If you ask God and it be his will, and you go about it the right way and have the right attitude, God will open them doors. So boom, something as little as a seat. Ain't no regular man or regular situation. He putting his fist inside the chair and looking at you crazy. You wait on God and talk to God, and now he's smiling through like this. I don't care what nobody say, you can miss me with the BS. Through the plane with him. Everybody's off the plane, mind you. Everybody's off the plane. I walk through the plane with him, and we get through the lane, you know, the lane to get to the gate. As soon as I get to the lane, an Indian cop grabs me by my collar. I see all his teeth. He's not even real big, but he big enough. He throw me on the floor, and it's like, he's like, argh. Mind you, again, we don't fight against flesh and blood. I knew that these spirits coming for what they want. He threw me on the floor, he dragging me. Out of nowhere, I said, Father, please show me the way. When I said that, I had my eyes closed. So like right now, if y'all close your eyes right now, and you got light in your room or whatever, you can still see the light. Now, if you put your hand over your eyes, you see how it just got real black and dark? But I'm talking about darker than that. So I closed my eyes. I said, Father, please show me the way. Everything got real dark. And all I heard was chains, heavy chains. Shh, shh. Father, please forgive me of all my sins. And then I said, Father, please show me the way. Closed my eyes when I said it. Everything got white like a bright light.
I died of a heart attack. I'll give you the story now. I did go to hell and I was tortured. I've been holding this testimony for 16 and a half years. All I liked was to party and women. That was it. How many women can I sleep with? And how much partying can I do? I'm 50 years old. I was a teenager in the early 80s in Miami when the money was flowing. When the money dried up, it was time to go look for a job. I would go from place to place looking for a job, and I could never find one. Something in my heart was just saying, get on your knees and pray to God. Didn't know how to do it, didn't even know who Jesus was, but I'd walk into a church, and I said, do you mind if I get on my knees? I need to ask God for a job. Yeah, sure. What little belief that I had that there was a God. And I would get on my knees and pray. And 2 or 3 days later, I'd have a job. And I would look up at heaven. And I'd say thank you. And that was the last time God that I didn't know would hear from me. Because I didn't know him. I always believed that there was a God. Just like everybody does. Even the atheists believe that there's a God. They're just lying. Quit my job or get fired and it's time to look for another one. There I go again. I already knew the secret. Just go to the first church you could find. Don't matter where it's at. Don't matter what denomination. Just walk inside and I'd ask for a job. God, can you give me a job, please? 2 or 3 days later, I'd have another job. And that whole time, I was just partying and women. That was just my main concern. There was nothing else. I would hear a little voice. I would try to talk to me. And it was God. He'd said, son, I need you to work for me. I didn't know who God was. I just heard the voice saying, I need you to work for me. I knew it was him. I knew it was God, the God that I didn't know. I didn't even know his son's name was Jesus. And I used to tell him, God, I respect you. I know you're for real. Every time I ask you for a job, you give me one. But I like my women. I like South Beach. This is my home, South Beach. This is where I like to party. Leave me on this side, and you stay on that side. That was it. The 1996 was the last time I asked him for a job. I needed a job. This was 3 times. I go back to a church. I used to go in and out of jobs. And I'd go back to just a church in 1996 and I asked God to help me out. Please, give me a job. Within 3 days, he gave me a job. Again, for the 3rd time. And from 96 to 2000, I kept hearing that voice, son, I want you to come work for me. And I kept saying the same thing to him. Same exact thing. I was a recording machine. let me stay on the left side. I like South Beach, I like partying, and I like my women. In the year 2000 is when I died of a heart attack. I'm going to explain it to you as I'm on my knees right now in front of God. This is the prayer room in my house. This is where I bend my knees daily. This is where the beginning of wisdom is fear of the Lord. In the year 2000, I flatlined. I had a heart attack. If you ever seen someone have a heart attack, they just fall. Their whole body falls. Unfortunately, I fell on my face. Why am I doing it in the prayer room? Because the day I died, we have a spirit that's inside of us. We have a body that's it. I'm sorry. We have a spirit, we have a soul, and we have a body. This body died, fell on the floor, dead. The maggots will eat it up once you die. That spirit never dies. If you ever watched a movie called Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Deneen Moore, it was a thug looking kind of guy with a fro. He was a Latin guy. That's what I could tell you. Okay? And he was the one that was going to kill Deneen Moore. And if I'm correct, no, I don't remember if he killed Patrick Swayze, no. You know who I'm talking about. The Latin guy in Ghost. He got hit by a car. When he died, those little black moles came to get him in the movie. That is exactly what happened to me. Whoever did that movie knew exactly what they were talking about. Those little black moles came to get me. My body is dead on the floor. All I can remember is that they were grabbing my feet and they were bringing me down. Many of them. While they were bringing me down, my body's on the floor. My spirit and soul is coming. I'm alive now. I'm awake. Now I have another body because I'm feeling pain. They were sticking their fingers in my eyes. They were sticking their fingers in my nose. They were biting my ear. They were gouging me. They were spitting on me. They were cursing me. Cry. I was just being tortured. It was just so much pain. Nothing could come out. I was crying with inside. Never knew God, never knew Jesus. I went to a place that had a drop-off point, and these big black gates started opening up. And when I mean a drop-off point is, imagine if you're on the second floor of a building and you look down, that's the drop-off point. All I could see is from what I could see with my eyes, and as far as I couldn't see no more. It was like an ocean of people screaming and crying. And all I could hear is, "Get me out of here, please. Please get me out of here." I never knew what a pastor was. I never knew what a man of God was. That wasn't in my vocabulary. I didn't even know God. I just believed that God exists. So when these gates, which are the gates of hell, I learned later on in the book of Revelation, it talks about the gates of hell. These things that were biting me and torturing me were going to push me into that pit. Before they could push me, I got to see a good minute. And I got to look down. Like I said, I never knew what a pastor was. But there was a whole section of them, and all I could hear them keep saying is, I'm sorry I took the money. I'm sorry I took the money. I'm sorry I took the money. Then I could just hear people screaming. I was more in pain of the torture that they were torturing me, but he let me see that pit. Right before they were about to throw me, I was getting right to the edge of the pit. I cried out, just like I used to cry out for a job. I cried out and I said, God, just kill me. I know I belong here, but don't let me suffer like those people. My cry to God was for him to kill me so I wouldn't suffer. Your spirit will never die, that there is a hell. I was tortured. When I cried out, God, just kill me. I belong here. That was my cry. Just don't let me suffer like those people down there.